Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Extra Hours, part of the Office Hours global network. officehours.global/join if you want to get all connected and start getting emails and find out what we do here. We've gathered some people from almost every corner of the globe to be able to talk about all things media production and those sorts of geeky, techie things. Let's see what we can get into. We're going to go around the horn. It prompted, as I thought about going around the horn, it prompted me to think, where does the phrase "go around the horn" come from? And we haven't got Carl here today, so we can't test his trivia on that. People could say there's a baseball reference of going around the horn, but actually,
continental reference, yes.
Cape there we go. Yes. There we go. Cape Horn, bottom of South America, and it's very dangerous, apparently, which makes sense. It's so close to Antarctica. Look at all the nods. All right, we're in for a good night because we've got a geeky panel that all knew this. They're all very happy to be here. Starting off right at the top, well, not quite the top of continental America, is Guy Cochran in Seattle, Washington. Hello, Guy.
Hello. And I was going to say Cape Horn. I don't know if it was true or not, but that was my vote. That's what immediately came to mind, was go around the long way before we had this canal thing.
Yeah. Well done. There you go. So we'll continue around the horn. We're going to go even more north, up into Canada. Alexander Knight. Hello, sir.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You just a quick check-in with the weather up there. What's happening there?
You know, in the Northwest, which is where I live, it's very, very mild our winter, so we haven't had any snow this year, thankfully. But it is raining quite a bit, and I think Mr. Cochran down in Seattle probably knows something a little bit about rain.
Very good. All right. Well, let's continue around the horn, off to the East Coast. Actually, down in John Wallace. I always forget you're in. It's East Coast. I can narrow it down.
It's not the East Coast at all.
Oh,
the Midwest.
But aren't you in the East time zone?
Yes, EST. But
okay,
so it's about as far as it gets.
More east than north.
Tell that to the NHL.
Michigan.
Yeah, I'm in Detroit.
There we go, Detroit. There we go. Good to have you here. Thank you. Thank you for staying up late. Further east, still in the same Eastern time zone in New York, is David Brady. Hello, sir.
Good evening, folks. Yes, it's a balmy 19 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been this way for the past 10 days or so, and I've had about enough of this right now.
A lot of snow?
It's permafrost now, but now it's just like a black soot-covered ice that, yeah. It's only nice when it's new.
And so are you out and about? Like, I mean, for lots of people that don't have vehicles, you know, in around
oh yeah. No, the streets have been plowed, but there's mountains of gray slop that's frozen over that they're slowly melting. But yeah.
Unreal. All right. So to complete our American cohort down in Hollywood, California, not snow there at all, Courtney, at the moment.
No, it's
in the desert.
83 here, and as we come around the horn, I'm in the spit valve position down here, bottom of the horn, bottom left. No.
Nice. All right, very good. There's a good musical reference there as well. Look at that. Okay, and then off to Europe, where it's the middle of the night. Oliver Brodenbach. Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah, it's the middle of the night. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. So
in Austria,
right? 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I'm like, yeah, my brain is on sleep, so
it's in sleep mode. Well, you asked to do it, so you nominated yourself.
No. Thank you for having me.
Very good. It's nice to have you.
It's a lot of fun and well worth not sleeping.
Very good. Well, and I am representing Australia, the APAC region, Asia Pacific, and it's going to be about 100 degrees today. So things are a little bit different down here. All right, that's all we have time for tonight. Thank you. We got around the horn, and that was it. All right. No, we have got some questions, and we've got some people that are in the chat. Please post questions early and quickly, and then also vote up on those questions, because often we will spend a bit of time on the questions, and so we may not get to all of them, particularly on a Monday night like this, but we will endeavour to. I was just having a quick look at the chat as well. We've got a few people that have gathered this evening. Eric and Vic and Peter, Tommy, David Paskin. Hello, sir. A little plug for Thursday nights. We have David Paskin does a little show. You can check that out. All right. Let's see what we've got. What's our first question, Guy?
First one comes in from David Brady in New York City asking, IPMX, what is it? And should I be concerned as more devices get certified?
John?
Yeah, I think it's going to be important. It's really nice. It's like a wrapper for a bunch of technologies that SMT 2110, AES 67. It adds some discovery stuff, so kind of make, think of NDI. Just making it more user-friendly. I think it's definitely usable. I have some devices that we've been rolling out at the office, and it's definitely nicer than the old Crestron stuff we rolled out, or even just some of the NDI stuff we've implemented. So I'd definitely take some time and learn it. It's the future.
Nice. Oliver?
Yeah, you should be very concerned. I think one of the issues I have with IPMX, is that it's based on 2110, and there's currently no way to run the 2110 stack on software only on a computer. So my beef with 2110, that's always been the beef, is like you still need specialized hardware, and I think the IPMX folks want to change that, and the 2110 flavor they use or they specify is maybe more open to or maybe more suited to being run on standard operating systems and as a software stack. Haven't seen that yet, so looking forward to see if it changes, and if it becomes available as a software stack, then we can, of course, or will, of course, support it in our software. But as far as that is concerned, I'm right now more on the side of the established AV over IP things like NDI. Let's see what the equipment vendors say or how the software stack develops.
John, bit of rebuttal.
Yeah, I think the issue you're probably going to run into on the hardware side is just it's so fat. It doesn't offer like the compression you get with NDI, and so receiving multiple streams, the support of HTTP is going to be a concern as well. So that's where you're kind of running into some barriers of entry there for getting it into like a software suite. But definitely, you can get a bunch of 25 gig network cards and probably get a couple nice streams in there. But for the average person, it's probably not worth the lift.
David?
Just wondered, what are the applications, though? Is it intended more for broadcast, or is it more pro AV? What are the, because I just heard that Evertz, for one vendor, just announced that they've adopted it as a standard. So I'm just curious what sector of the industry is really it's targeted for.
From my perspective, it feels more pro AV than it does feel like broadcast. If you're going broadcast, you're going to strip away all that extra stuff. You're not going to need HTTP. You're going to handle discovery how you prefer it to be, and not rely on those multicast protocols as much.
Okay.
Potentially more more corporate kind of integrator AV type world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oliver?
where
I
I'm seeing
think
it in the devices that
Sorry.
are coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oliver.
I think it's one of the problems with AV over IP is that there, you know, it's a hollow word, and I think IPMX is trying to, as John said, is like an umbrella of around several different types of standards and audio standard, video standard, and it's trying to define this so that if you get an IPMX certified device or a system or whatever, then you can be sure that they interact with each other properly, which is something that is not part of the individual standards that those devices have. So for example, if you have a camera that carries both audio and video, 2110 doesn't know how to really do this, and so it needs an audio standard to go with it. And DHCP is, I think DHCP, to contradict John a little bit, is like I think the broadcast or the rights people, they want the broadcast people also to be bound by DHCP, and so I think that is one of the parts, is just to make sure that the cable doesn't contain content that shouldn't, that's being used without permission or something like that. So I think it's mainly, I think it's for broadcast, and it's mainly so that you can have a system that is, with components that are guaranteed to interact properly with each other.
Yeah, Mickey, I was thinking the same thing. We were talking about HDCP, as in copy protection, versus IP distribution. John, you were talking about copy protection. Yeah, we were all talking about copy protection. It was just mixing up the terms. Fair enough.
Yeah, HTTP is nowhere in my pipeline. That's for the content provider who wants to protect it at their end. Doesn't belong in my chain. They can layer on whatever they want after the fact.
Well, it in their view, it does belong into your chain. That's the problem, They think it should be in their chain, and that's also why they have added it recently to NDI. So so it's like, it's a world that wants to be control. It wants to have control.
Right. Next question.
Next one's coming in from Jonathan Michelson in Buenos Aires, Argentina, asking, what is the name of the button controller that can fit inside your hand and is used to trigger Streamdeck actions, for example, to advance slides in a concealed way? Felippe Narde from Inside the Show demonstrated it to change OBS scenes, I think.
John?
I haven't seen this one specifically, but you can throw a pop socket on the back of like a Streamdeck Neo or one of the Streamdeck Minis, or even the full-size one that Guy's using, and you can definitely advance it. That's definitely a great way to use it.
Yeah, I guess that's how I'm doing it right here, is pop socket on the back. And then you could see that I can cut to, is it safe? Yeah, I can cut to other things. Bam.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder about keystrokes as well, like as in using a remote, like some of the presenter remotes, you can even change the keystroke that it triggers for next slide, and those sorts of things. Some of them you can log into and change them. I know for the Perfect Cue, you can log into those and you can change what keystroke it does. And so now you could have a button that just hits a particular keystroke, and that could trigger something. Oliver?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that the Streamdeck guys did something very interesting. They are now offering some way for keyboard vendors to integrate Streamdeck hardware into their keyboards. So I think we will see a lot more purpose-built devices that somehow are compatible, or doing the Streamdeck thing, protocol in the background, and interact with their ecosystem, like foot pedals and things like that. I think that's going to be coming out very soon. Things like that.
David?
Yeah, To the Perfect Q point, we're a big DSAN Perfect Q shop at work. I've recently invested in their proprietary USB to RJ45 serial cable. And there's a company out there called Clicker, Cliquuer, I believe, that has an iOS app similar to Internet Clicker that can send those triggers to a host machine, and then over that USB to serial thing, it'll hit the DSAN and advance things out. So it allows remote presenters to drive your DSAN environment inside of the firewall. And just started playing around with it at work. It's kind of slick. It's about I forget, 150 pounds for a 1 year subscription kind of thing. But like any of those internet clicker apps, you host it out, you can see people come in, and then you can grant them access to whether they can advance, whether they can chat, whether they get return slides back and stuff. It's pretty slick so far. But Cliquuer, I believe. I'll find it and put it in the chat.
Yeah, okay. Well, if Jeff was just saying that Felippe uses a proprietary remote that is not publicly available, his recommendation is the flick button, which I think is more of like a smart button that can be set up to use, also trigger different things. The interesting thing with the DSAN, I don't know what the deal is with the DSAN company, because nothing has changed in many years. They seem to be available sometimes and mostly not. And the products haven't changed at all. And then there doesn't seem to be, what's annoying is there's not a competitor in the same kind of league, like it just has been the same for 30 years or something. And
in the US,
no
it's getting a lot better. So we buy a bunch for our office, and B&H has been really good being in restock recently.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's good that they're available, but they still haven't been updated. Like they're still kind of the industry standard, but I don't think that button is actually that great. And often we have problems with, if you're not holding the button, sometimes you just have them sitting on a lectern, and people tend to press them and it's not a really definitive press sometimes, like when you click on it, and so people don't feel like it is. Of course, the UHF frequency it uses and stuff is great. All of that, it still is the industry standard, but I don't know. I'd love to see that disrupted. I think you could get it smaller. It could be a better feeling click. Anyway.
I do know that they're like an old Long Island based, here in New York, they're a Long Island based company, and probably from the military era when Nassau County was building a lot of stuff for Raytheon and stuff like that, I bet.
Oh, that makes me think the button, that remote button, does a very different thing than just changing PowerPoint slides. Don't press the big green button unless you want to start a war. Courtney.
Yeah, if it says launch on it, you ordered the wrong one. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Besides the DSAN, which is the gold standard, there's tons of presentation controllers. If you just shop for presentation controllers, they're designed to work with PowerPoint, that generate keystrokes like F5 for open slideshow and page down for next slide, et cetera, which has been the standard keystrokes for PowerPoint and presentation controls for decades. So if they use that common key code control for a PC or a Macintosh, it should work. You should be able to work Bitfocus Companion. You should be able to link it into your Streamdeck, perhaps, to intercept those hotkeys, and operate a macro on the Streamdeck, maybe. But Logitech makes them, QCO makes them. There's many different manufacturers of presentation controller. Most of them are in 2.4 gigahertz and connect via USB A type to your computer. But the kinds that have the external antenna that gets away from the part that you hold in your hand, like the Descend does, have much better range on them because you're competing with everything else at 2.4 gigahertz in the neighborhood.
Good one. Yeah, I think Jeff just mentioned another one. AA Pro is another one. Oh, MIDI built in. That's cool. Yeah, so there are some other ones around. They just don't. Yeah, they just don't get the same amount of press. All right, next question.
James Fosling in Minneapolis, Minnesota, asking the sound in open quote, "The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar," close quote, seemed like a masterclass in stereo imaging. However, I always thought that you're not supposed to notice the sound. Is that wrong or just Wes Anderson?
If only we had someone that's worked in sound for a million years on the panel. In Hollywood. Courtney, you mentioned this as your content recommendation
It was also
last
my
week.
content pick last week, yeah. And I mentioned the sound and how meticulous the sound was arranged and how it's camera perspective. Of course, it's unusual. It's probably the only film I've ever seen where it's kind of arranged like a stage play, and you're not supposed to draw attention to the sound, but then again, if you take a look at this little transition here between one scene and another, you're never supposed to see stagehands move the hand props to the actors or move parts of the scenery in either. But the sound that corresponds to all those things is there, and that's what makes it so wonderful, is that you've never seen a type of storytelling like this where the narrator is one of the actors in the scene and will turn and talk into the camera and then deliver lines to the other characters in the scene and then turn back and talk to the camera and then transition to another scene, and prop men will come out and makeup will come out and change their mustache or age them down, and it's just a wonderful collection of little tiny details of establishing a storytelling that flows continuously without a whole lot of cutting. So that's what makes it interesting. And the sound effects are quite amazing because as they walk behind the set, the sound of them travels behind the set. It sounds like they're standing behind that flat when they're delivering that line. So it maintains camera perspective. And there's a lot of little detail sounds that are in there that make it really interesting.
What do you think about the? I think there's audio effects, and there's in a similar way there's visual effects. I think about 3D video, for example, or movies where there's the gimmicks of something being thrown at you or that type of thing.
That's my beef with Atmos. When you're in a theater that has a good Atmos, 28 speakers or however many it is, and somebody has used it to great effect, and you're hearing, some crackling or something coming out of the back right corner of the theater, you're going, what? That takes you out of the screen. You turn around and go, is that the guy behind me opening up his juju beads, the candy wrapper, or is that a fire starting off camera to the back? It's disconcerting. It pulls me out of the reality because it draws your attention to inside the theater rather than the theater of your mind, which is, stops at the edge of the screen. And if it pulls your mind off the edge of the screen, then it takes you out of the movie completely. So I don't really like Atmos where they, environmental sounds are okay if they're going to have crickets or something that is all around you that isn't very specific in directionality. But when they do that directionality, unless it's something that starts in the frame, cruises right past the camera and over your head and behind you, that's fine.
Helicopter or something.
Yeah, the helicopter pass over, that's fine. But something that originates outside the frame that you don't know what it is and you haven't seen it and you can't identify what it is, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, it makes me think about the concept that Alex would talk about in the it's how you feel, not what you think. And so I feel like when you're sitting in a theater environment, ideally you're feeling like you're you're a part of it without thinking that the sound's coming from the side or behind me or something, but that that's the feeling that you get because you feel more, more a part of it. So then when it is dramatically, particularly with stereo and when you're wearing headphones, in this example where you are hearing things hard panned, is it just the techs in us, or the geeks in us that is picking that more so than others? I know for some of my family they wouldn't pick that up necessarily, and so yeah, I guess it comes back to how you feel. But
also, when the camera changes angles, the position of the sound has to change to match. So if somebody's over your right shoulder and then it cuts to the reverse, now they're over your left shoulder. And
Right.
if you ping the sound across that cut, it's going to be very distracting. That's why they almost always play the dialogue in the center channel to avoid that ping-ponging issue of changing perspective across a cut.
Good one. Next question.
Next one in from Roz McNulty in Vancouver, Canada, asking, it was the Vision Pro's 2nd birthday today. Any predictions or interesting apps for the next year?
Alexander?
I don't have a Vision Pro, but I've been following the technology really closely. It's really interesting. With the Vision Pro 2, they made some big strides with the processing. But ultimately, I mean, really, you need the apps. The ecosystem has to be there, and that's the big challenge. But we're only 2 years into it. It's really interesting. I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately because I've been currently rereading Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, which was published in 1992. So if you haven't read this, there's the whole concept of the metaverse and someone wearing, augmented reality and VR goggles. And it's funny, though, 34 years later, it turns out still people do not want to put a giant helmet on to experience this stuff. But the one thing that I seem to always hear from people that have the Vision Pro is that they use it mainly for watching content, because it's the best big screen that they could possibly have. And my response always to that is like, that's cool, but you're spending $4,000 to have a big screen TV with, and then you've got to have this big helmet on. So I think ultimately the biggest issue is the form factor, but I think eventually Apple's going to come out with something that'll probably be the right fit, probably slimmed down more in the form of glasses. But as the expression goes, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. I think they're going to have to break a lot of eggs before they settle down on something, before the technology is actually ready to be in a small enough form factor where it's going to be comfortable enough to wear it, where the battery life is going to last for more than an hour. And of course, then I think at that point, when the form factor is attractive, I think the ecosystem will start to fill up. I think people will want to develop more for it if they have the confidence that people are actually going to want to buy these things.
Oliver?
Yeah, I think that will never happen. It's like I think the Apple Vision is Apple Vision Pro is sort of a experiment to develop new ways to interact with a computer, and there's a couple of different directions, and one is that these bulky devices, and then the other one is where the computer becomes invisible. If you Google that, the concept is called the invisible computer, and it's more this ChatGPT like voice or even thought interaction with the computer that is going to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It will be interesting to see if Apple doesn't have a very good record of sticking with things that don't grab immediate huge market share, and so it's going to be interesting to see how much money they are willing to spend on this before they pull the plug and call it done or whatever. I mean, they might get to a point where the device becomes much smaller and lighter, but I don't think that's going to fix one thing, and that is that they've been searching for the killer app for 2 years now, and they haven't found any. And I mean, the Apple Vision Pro has great use cases. Don't get me wrong, but there's not one use case that everyone on this earth wants to have it for. And I think that Apple has you know, I don't know if they will stick to it and keep doing it, even though the use cases are pretty niche and will stay that way. I don't see us running around with devices in front of our faces that hide our faces. I mean, people run around with the iPhone on their in front of their faces. So I might be wrong about the face thing, but if you can't, if everyone runs around with a helmet, you can't see through. Even, I mean, they tried to do this with these fake eyes thing, but that's I don't see that catching on. I think it's an experiment, and I think it's let them do it, because they have a lot of money, and who else could finance this experiment? But I don't see it catching on for mainstream at all.
Okay, Courtney.
I'm with Oliver. I think it'll be dead before its third birthday. HoloLens, led them into this market 10 years ago. And in those 10 years ago, the Microsoft HoloLens 2 came out, I think 2024, and they've already announced the death of that. It only made, so they had that 12 years to come up with a killer app. And the only apps they could come up with were vertical market stuff for industry or, training for military, certain very narrow market vertical applications. It's not a consumer product because augmented reality is just one of those things, because it's heavy, it takes a lot of compute power to do it. And what's the point? You only need it for certain things where you have to see something overlaid over your real world. And the number of times that you really need that, or, that tracks with your vision. And to do that, it takes so much technology to track your eyeballs, where are your eyes looking, where's your head tilted, how big is the thing, how far away is it, how should it be in focus, do you need to block out the area behind it? And there's just so many problems associated with augmented reality versus virtual reality, or just heads-up display. And I think they're going to move to something that's more of a heads-up display, where you don't have to track the head movements. It presents information in front of you in a heads-up display, but having to deal with all the eye tracking and the head movement and sticking something to your real world is it's a feature that doesn't really have any applications other than one or two, very vertical market applications. And there it doesn't just, it doesn't support the research and development and the support to maintain a product like that in a vertical market application.
As the only person on the panel that actually owns a Vision Pro, I feel like I can talk to it a little more, and that is that it's not a daily experience for me, but I do think that the quality of the image that you're able to view in an augmented reality, being able to pull certain things apart, or investigate something in the detail that you can, I think is not matched. It's as in there's no comparison to that, and the HoloLens is nothing like it. It's much higher quality, higher fidelity, and so then the immersive experiences that Apple are continuing to bring out. Films are still coming out that are pretty amazing. There was just one that is not all that old, that is from ski slopes, and sort of going along an experience of going on ski slopes, and it was really, really impressive. So there's quite a few like that I think the content that they've been creating is is pretty amazing of the quality that it has. So I don't think it's dying. I do think that the biggest opposition to it is the weight, and so the bulkiness of the product. And I think that they will totally get that down. And so, the first iPhone came out and it sold about 6 million. It's a very different thing, I know, but you look at that first iPhone compared to even the 3G, which was a couple of years later, and they sold 12 million of those. And so the improvements that they made in those couple of years was pretty vast. And so I don't know. I think there's still another version in there yet, another version or two, before they would shut it all down altogether.
Well, remember, the HoloLens had superimposed over your actual vision, so your actual eyesight is probably better than those cameras on the
that's
on
fair.
the Vision Pro. But
that's fair. But the quality of the image wasn't as good. Right. So, and this is,
it had a smaller area that you could, you're right. As far as the viewable area where the superimposition would be is much smaller than it was in the Vision Pro. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, do you want higher quality of the virtual content or higher quality of the real environment that you're in? And I think it's probably the former.
My point was that you don't need AR, you can do that with VR. There you want high quality. But the AR is, very little uses for the AR itself.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a one of the things that they just added recently was being able to snap things to walls, and so widgets and things. And so sitting in an environment where you don't necessarily need really high definition of the room that you're in, but being able to snap things to the actual walls and be able to move around in that environment, that's a really interesting use case for multitasking, not just looking at one thing. But we'll see where it goes.
I don't want to get up and go over and look at something on the wall. I just want to stay right here
looking at the
and
screen.
Look at my monitor.
Fair enough. You got a final thought, Oliver?
Yeah, I found this interesting. Let me bring that up. Interesting chart on VR sets throughout history.
Yeah.
And you see it, April 1993. And I even remember that we had something before that. And this is the graveyard of VR headsets. And you think that if you do this for 1993, that's 25 30 years, and nothing pops up that that is really a must-have. Yeah. I'm the experiences the experience are great, is great, and it might be to a certain degree the quality and the performance that is the deciding factor that might tip it, the tipping point that might tip it to broader adoption along with the price. But it's fun for playing for games. It's fun for watching videos. I want one so I can get rid of the physical displays. But then if I want to come on a something like this here, a Zoom call, me sitting here with the goggles isn't probably not going to be as much of a thing. Yeah, let's see where it goes. I mean, some people work on direct brain interfaces. Maybe that's where this is headed in the end. It's like where you don't have to put on a device. You just turn on the overlay in your head, or you watch the movie as if you were there, which will be a very scary and spooky experience in the end, I think.
Fair enough. Alexander?
And last thing I wanted to comment on too, and I know I'm confident Apple will figure this out, but the whole idea of an external battery source with a wire that you wear on your belt is so goofy to me. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but back in the early 90s, and this was not a successful product for Sega, but the Sega Game Gear with an external battery pack that you would put on your belt because it would chew through AA like nobody's business. That is not a fun time.
I think I had a Sony Walkman 2 that had a double D, like a D pack that you had to wear, just so you could listen to.
So you could listen to music slowly.
Wireless
go
power.
slower and slower.
Wireless power. That's what we need.
Maybe
Guy,
a
you
little
didn't raise your hand.
windmill that goes on top of your head there that just winds it off of you.
Guy, you
Yeah, I
didn't raise
didn't
your hand,
raise
but I am
my-
interested.
Yeah, I owned the HoloLens back in 2016, and I dropped $3,000 on a developer edition, and I was pinning things to the wall and walking around. In fact, I let my daughter at the time, she was probably 10 years old, and she played with it. And I walked downstairs in the morning and put them on, and she had put birthday cakes and all this stuff all over the walls. I was like, it's like graffiti all over my house, and it was just kind of a glimpse into the future. Because then I went to CES that year, and somebody was walking around with one, and they said that you could take apart the side of them, and there was a 4G SIM card that was built into it. So I was like, oh man, this is the future. But here we are 10 years later. And I did go to the Apple store and do the demo, and I was torn whether I wanted to buy a MacBook Pro or buy some goggles that I thought I might not use every day. And I'm hearing from certain people that they use them 2 hours a day there at Apple. And so they're really happy with them and pleased, because the screen pinning on the wall, you could get a lot done when you have the opportunity to get one thing going over here, another thing cooking over here, and you're just looking around, and then render's done over here. Let's kick over here. So there's something to
Where
be said
did I
about that
leave my
large-
email? I think I left it in the bathroom on the shower wall. And I'm going to walk around the house to figure out where I left my, when you forget where you left your glasses, it's going to be worse when you, where did I leave the email client? Darn, I think it was here somewhere.
The Apple Vision Pro needs a killer app like Clippy.
That's right.
And it'll be done.
That'll make it work. All right. We've got a bunch of questions that have stacked up, so we've got to go into a little speedier and see how we go. What's next?
Shandil, Los Angeles, California. Moltbot has apparently set up its own Reddit that only other AIs can read. Have we reached peak AI? And also, please tell AI I have always been nice to the machine.
John.
I hope this isn't peak. I would think that Reddit is the dearth of the internet for the most part. So having our AI bots contribute to that doesn't find much value for me. It's interesting. It's entertaining just to see kind of what they're pasting into that. But honestly, Anthropic, right? They're just the backbone of this, and everybody's wasting tokens having their AI bots do social media. So at the end of the day, they win. And I think that's the most important part of this.
Nice. Oliver.
Yeah, we have not reached peak AI yet. We will, right now we experiment with the AI, and we will have reached peak AI when AI starts experimenting with us. So, yeah, it's a little sobering in thought on this end. But I'm a little bit surprised that after the initial ChatGPT craze and what it could do, it looks more that the capabilities of AI have a little bit stalled. In my view, I mean, it's getting better at the things it could do back then, but it's still the same principle. You throw more processing power at it, and it can do more things, but it's still the same sort of how it works and what it does. And I wonder, and clearly it's not general purpose AI, and it's far away from that. And I wonder if behind the scenes things are moving, or if it just is this crazy business driven thing, and figuring out how we can make money off of the LLMs. And it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And peak AI is far away. We can't imagine what's coming. But it's interesting times.
Okay. We've got a couple more AI questions. What's next?
Next one in from Robert Green in Los Angeles, California, asking, everyone is abuzz about Clawdbot.ai. Lots of fears on the socials and some great potential. What's your experience?
Guy, you've been playing around with it?
Yeah, I showed a little of this last week, and then I went ahead and did a little demo in after hours, and we did a full run through. Luckily, Chirig was kind enough to give us his tokens. So you could limit when you go to buy some, you could say like $20. So we blew through his $20 in after hours, and it was pretty cool to walk through soup to nuts. So we had a fresh, brand new Mac Mini M4. Well, actually, it's Oliver's brand. Thank you, Oliver, for letting us blow up your machine. So it was sitting here. It was actually the extra hours machine formerly, because it was not beefy enough to do what we're doing here with this many panelists. So it's been sitting here idle. I think Oliver's been doing some other tests with it. So it's just been in beta mode. So we cleared it and put a brand new user on there and sandboxed it, and then walked through what it could do in after hours. And I think it was an eye-opening experience for a lot of people at how fast it was spending tokens, because Chirig was in the back going, and that was $1. He's like, because I'd say like go read the manual, read the Mimo Live manual, and tell us what you can do, and it would go parse that whole PDF, and so that cost tokens. I went ahead and fired it up on another machine that is different. This is an M2, and this is a splash top session that I just happened to record, and I did the same thing again, where I just said, go through and join this meeting and give me an 8-up. And it got a little confused because it's trying to build this. Like, it doesn't really know Mimo Live. So at first it just like turned them all on, and then it did this strange kind of layout where it's small, and but it was trying. Like, you could see it trying to figure it out. And then it figured out this. It figured out like an 8-up that looks like that. I guess that's the split screen. And then I didn't really like the two things on the side that were empty. I should have talked to it. And by the way, I'm talking to it. I did all this through Telegram. So I've got my phone with, I'm just talking to it, telling it to do this stuff. So I'm not mousing at all. I'm just talking. So it's a message. I just message it and I'm like, go read the manual. And it's like, okay, I read the manual. What do we need to do now? Cut to Susan, and it cuts to Susan. So in this 3-up, I'm like, hey, give me a 2-up, and it gives me a 2-up. And by the end of the session, I'm just saying, now go ahead and auto switch. Do video follows audio. So it's like active speaker in Zoom. And it did it. It figured it out, and it would cut fast as a human could cut, and even faster probably, because there would be a little delay before the human senses. So some things I'm like blown away. And then just right now I have it running on another machine. So let's go over to here. And so I just asked it, Robert, just so you get real spooked out. So Robert Green, Los Angeles. I just fed it your question, and it said, hey, that's a question about me. If Guy wants to share, here's the honest take from living it. And then it says, the short version, it's a persistent Claude that can actually do things, read files, browse the web, control devices, send messages across platforms. The fears are valid concerns about AI agents having real access. The potential is having an assistant that doesn't forget context. So it's saying our experiences so far. So today I asked it to, I actually installed my things. I know Mickey is in the chat and he uses things. I asked it to do a thing through Telegram. I said, add to my things. I need to go to the bank and deposit some funds. So I said, when that FedEx check comes, go deposit it. And I said that in Telegram, and it put it in things through Telegram. I can reach Guy through Telegram, web chat. I have access to his machine, which requires trust. I try to earn it by being careful, asking before doing anything. And then I had asked it to actually go into Discord. So it acted as me, went into Discord, because I tried this with ChatGPT Atlas too, because I was curious as to what AI thought of our Discord. So it went in that office hours Discord, crawled everything, and it just gave me a full-on report, which I then fed into ChatGPT and said, hey, what do you think of this report that I just got from Clawdbot? And it gave me all this information. It's like, wow, you've got a great community here, and like there's some top posters, and it was like, wow, this stuff would have taken me hours to go through and do, and it just did it in probably, I don't know, 10 minutes, and that burned some serious tokens. I mean, it was just in there, scroll, and it's fun to watch it because it's just doing its thing. It's just cruising around as you just tell it, it's like sick 'em, and it just goes. The most bizarre one to me was the other day. This guy said, I gave it my credit card and I told it to do stuff in the middle of the night while I was sleeping, and it booked something, and then it was smart enough to get its own phone number and called him. Could you imagine your AI calling you? Like, it's smart enough to get a phone number and call you. So
I just bought a
and it
Vision
also
Pro
booked
for you.
Yeah, it's a Vision Pro.
So you said you needed one, and so
Yeah.
I took the liberty. It'll be here at 11 a.m. Congratulations.
Shall we
Oliver.
play a game?
Yeah, I think I just had this idea, Guy. We should create a virtual panelist.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ask the question.
Using that
I've-
technology, and I have a early access to a web page.
I've got a name.
Um,
No, I think Lindsay.
Automatic Turk. Yeah, Automatic Turk or
You've been
Robo Carl.
replaced.
Robo Carl, yeah.
and I have early access to a web page that or a web services that turns audio into a talking head. So you send it audio and it makes an AI based person out of it. So
That's you need that to answer spam calls, much like the hello, this is Lenny.
yeah. So,
hello, this
so
is
we
Lenny.
have
So you just route
we
your
have
phone
the
call
AI
to
call, and then hey, this is PayPal.
it. No, not even that. But when you get the spam calls, you just route it to
yes,
the
and then
bot.
the AI spam caller is answered by your AI spam
exactly.
call.
They're talking to each other. All right.
But then you have to be careful, because if the AI that then goes and does what the caller says, it's like you can ask, it can hack you. It's like, well, you wanted to buy this car,
Yeah.
and then goes and buys the car.
All right, next question.
Got one in from James Fosling in Minneapolis asking, will AI turn more of us into app developers to help ourselves in productions?
Oliver?
Well, right now it's a great way to and Guy is gonna elaborate on that a little bit more. It's a great way to do some developing that you didn't know you could do. But ultimately, I think AI will replace the development entirely. So you just go ahead and tell it what you want it to do, and then it will do it, and you won't have to code anything. And I think Guy also demonstrates that that we are pretty close to that already. And I have this epiphany when a couple of years ago was when the ChatGPT came first out. I had a couple of friends who were like, "Oh, this is great for coding. It can do a regex. It can help you figure out the regex to remove every second line in this file." And then they got back and forth, and like it didn't do it correctly, and how do we tell it to make it different? And then, some guy who didn't have any clue about regex and programming came along and said, why don't you ask it to just remove every second line of your text, and boom, it's done, So I think the idea that you use AI to code something will very much go away very soon, and then be replaced by just ask it to do whatever you want it to do.
Yeah. Guy?
Yeah, I would have never thought that I'd be a developer. I mean, I have a high amount of respect for what Oliver and Akeem do. I've known Oliver for a while. He's actually the brains behind our one-button studio system. So way before office hours, I was working with him and putting feature requests in, and he was actually doing things for us that are programmed. In fact, Oliver, did we invent kiosk mode for Mimo Live? Was that specifically for
Yeah,
One-Button
that was yes.
Okay, yeah, so there's features that are in there that are specifically just for that product, and the painter layer is another one. I'm sitting here right now with one of these Wacom tablets where I can tell it straight over the top. But to answer the question, it reminds me of what Omar Gadon said to me the other day when he started developing. He's like, sure, you could go down this path and make all this stuff, but then you got tech support, you've got billing, you've got all this stuff. So it's great to see like what Chris Sabato is doing. And he's like, this is my tool for my production. It's for me. It's not for a bunch of people. And if it is, then I'm just going to release it and just give it away. But the second that you start getting into paying for stuff, all of a sudden you're beholden to this whole other security. Like when I built one of my apps, I had to put a back end on it so that the keys wouldn't be exposed. So I didn't know that this is how it's done. And so I asked, like, how do I make this secure? How do I ironclad things? And so there's all these Cloudflare tunnels. So what you don't know can hurt you because you do not want to be exposing customers' data. So there's so much to it. But as far as the simplicity of going into like anti-gravity or one of these really easy things like Lovable, it's amazing. I mean, it's just, it's so mind blowing. And then when you get into the hardcore stuff, you start doing like what I did. You buy a B-Link and you have your own local. In fact, I was just reading one guy who's doing this for like law firms and dentist offices where he's buying these $10,000 Mac Ultras with a gig of RAM or 512 gigs of RAM or 1 terabyte. And then that's their local LLM. And they're able to do all this retrieval augmented, things where it's tailored to them. It's not leaving and going over to Claude and processing. They're not spending any more money on tokens. It's all internal. And then he's wiring 5 of these things together and charging $69,000 for five of these things processing at once. So the future is really interesting when you get to that level. And I know John Wallace is doing some of this stuff. I don't know how much he could talk publicly about that, but he's got some. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's cool stuff going on out in the world.
In the real world. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Let's do the last one.
Last question. Funsak Dorji in Dharmasala is asking, hi, panelists. Good morning from India. Can Mimo Live be used for soccer coverage with instant replay, 6 cameras, and score graphic, exploring other solutions because of memory price hikes? Thanks.
Oliver.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, you can do this. We have instant replay, but the instant replay we have is a little bit limited because it stores the frames you want to replay in RAM, so it doesn't have a lot of storage for instant replay buffer, and it's pretty intensive on your machine. But it can be done. We have a lot of users in high schools and so on and so forth doing sports, scoring, team roster, instant replay, and so on and so forth. It's all in there, included in the standard package. So this is probably a good opportunity to refer you to the Mimo Life Experts community on Discord, and I will put the link to that in the Mukana, and we can meet there and explore together how this would work for you. It's a little bit of learning and journey, but it can be done, and we have some very excellent examples of that.
Good one. All right. We now get to content recommendations. Alexander, you had a book there before. You snuck that in earlier. Have you got another one, Alexander?
I do, and I've mentioned movies before on this show because I'm a big movie guy, but A24 is crushing it as a film company, and I just watched this. This is the Smashing Machine story about Mark Kerr, wrestler / UFC guy, which I didn't really know anything about him, but I have to say, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson completely disappears in this role, and it's not just the prosthetics. I thought this is a role of a lifetime for him, and I thought that everything down to his mannerisms, to the way he modified his voice to sound like Mark Kerr. And I looked at some footage of Mark Kerr from the 90s in interviews, and he sounds quite a bit like him, just really completely embodied this person. And there were some scenes that were pretty hard to watch. I mean, he dealt a lot with substance abuse as well. There's one particular scene where he's in the hospital, and it's really rough to watch, but it's very well acted. And I've become a big fan of the Safdie brothers. This was directed by Benny Safdie and his brother Josh, who just did Marty Supreme as well. I mean, these guys are really knocking it out of the park with movies. Now, the other thing too, I love how old school they are. They shoot these movies on film. They're big film guys. They shot this on an Arri Flex, and they decided to shoot it in 16 millimeter because I guess they wanted it to look a little bit more dirty, a little bit older, and I thought it suited the film really well. It takes place in the late 90s as well. So got the this is the 4K UHD version, and it does have Dolby Vision. I thought the color grade on this was a little bit muted, but I thought it suited the content and the period of time really well. So highly recommend.
Nice one. Very good. Courtney, what have you got?
I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel because if you liked, if you're a do-it-yourselfer or an engineer, and you liked Mythbusters or Tested, Adam Savage's site where he builds stuff, there's a site called Stuff Made Here, and it's quite entertaining. This is the guy here, and he has a shop that would be the envy of anybody, and he makes ridiculous stuff, like an over-engineered, pencil sharpener. He made a brownie pan that cooks the perfect brownies. And he did an auto aim, a golf club that every time you swing it, it will always go in the hole.
Nice.
Things like that. And he makes these incredibly complex engineering uh, devices, and he has, water jet cutters and 5-axis CNC mills and all these great tools. And he runs them all by his wife, who is very deadpan, and she has to rate and criticize him for what he did. But it's very entertaining and incredible amount of engineering and troubleshooting because he goes wrong on everything he builds, and he has to figure out why it went wrong and how to fix it. So, Stuff Made Here.
Love it. Well done. Guy, it's yours.
Yeah, mine's going to be an oldie but a goodie. I just went and rewatched this one because I kind of glazed over it a while back. This is a conversation with Tony Mobley. It's with Miss Laura Thompson, and you could see the older panel where we had lots of people on Tony Mobley's show, but you forget about the heart that's behind what we do here. And there was some Discord stuff going on in Mukana, and Laura needed help, and Talala goes, man, go watch that episode. And I had to go back and go listen carefully because she's a great person, and it's one of those things where you go, who are these people behind our community? So I appreciate what Tony's doing. And it's one of those episodes where you really just got to go back and watch it and understand where people are coming from. So forget that there's people behind the scenes that make this whole show work. So shout out to Laura and to Tony for doing a great show.
That's fun. John, have you got something?
Yeah, I recently watched the Queen's Gambit, the miniseries on Netflix. I know it's been out there for a very long time, and it's popped up in my feed several times, but finally this weekend I had some time when I got back from Vegas, and decided to just pop in and kind of watch a couple episodes and really enjoying it. So if you haven't taken the time, it's definitely worth it to check out if it's available in your region.
Nice work. And Oliver, any content?
Yeah, I didn't have anything, but John reminded me that I'm still want to watch the documentary "The Queen of Chess," which is probably something that is related to this. I have to look into that, but I have the feeling that the Queen's Gambit is sort of based on that story, real life, how a woman fought into the world of chess, and yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really recommend it, but that's one thing maybe to look for, to add to the Queen's Gambit recommendation.
Very good. And David Brady.
Yep. Okay. Mine is going to be another YouTube channel. Goes by the name of Homemade Documentaries by a gentleman, I forget his name off the top of my head, Jackson Tyler. He basically he's collected a bunch of NASA footage, up-reses it to 4K, puts together these 3-hour documentaries about the entire thing of Mercury, or all the different space programs, etc. Really well done, and the duration of them makes for perfect Saturday morning. Just put it on, let it go in the background, and take a nap or just get lost in it. It's really good. No, I don't mean take a nap, but it's good background stuff. And living on my own and having that kind of luxury is kind of nice. But homemade documentaries on YouTube by Tyler
Jackson Tyler.
Yeah, good
Yep.
stuff.
It's very good. It's the first recommendation we've had to help you sleep. To help you have a little nap.
Yeah. So the 3.5, like there's one,
Good one.
the Mariner missions in 4K. It's 4 hours long on YouTube, and it's perfect for all the
It's
Quindar
cat
tones.
TV for humans.
Beep. Yeah. Yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you, everyone. We had a few extra questions that came in, but that we didn't get to. I would encourage people, we're going to jump into after hours now. There'll be anyone that can jump into after hours. And there's a couple of questions there that we could just continue on in after hours. So we can answer those there if you've got time. And the Tlaloc traversal, 155 million bananas for scale. And I'm trying to remember, by only talking about the bananas, I'm trying to remember what it was last week, and I think it was more than 155, which is interesting because it's based on questions, right? It's not necessarily based on the panelists. So, yes, I know, Miles. I'm asking about how the calculation is worked on questions.
Yeah, it's from the question answer to the people who answer it. So the panelists.
Okay, so it is the panelists as well. Okay, very good.
The mean distance between panelists.
I didn't answer enough questions. That means, right?
Oh yeah, you
Grant has to answer
up,
most
man.
of them. It goes to Australian back and Australian back.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying how serious John took that answer about this thing that was kind of a stupid thing that Tlaloc created, and now it's like we seriously, what is the algorithm that's worked on this? We need to get to the details.
Calculated to the
Nobody
front door
knows
of the person who answered. Yeah.
If it's only the producers, where those questions come from, where the answers are, and if I keep on answering again, then does it add multiple? That's what I want to know. Only the producers. I'm hearing it. It's only the producers. Which,
yeah. But I'm wondering, is
it
an African banana or European banana? Nobody gets that reference.
All I can say now is I think it's flawed, because if it doesn't include the answers, then it's not a real conversation. It's not a conversation where no one's left out. We need to update this algorithm. All right, very good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the panelists for joining us around the horn, and all the great questions that we had. Too many questions we had tonight. That's great. Remember that you can join the show tomorrow. We've got a special something.
Or no, Tuesday.
No,
sorry. Yeah, Tuesday. We've got a conversations with Tony Mobley, how it was built.
Oh, there we go. A conversation about conversations. Cool. So that's on tomorrow, and then Wednesday is more of an audio day. But you can get all your questions. You can kind of post questions whenever, and we'll get to those throughout. There's something on every day. And a special thanks to the crew that worked on this tonight. We'll have a look at the credits and see all their names when we start. So thanks, everyone. Let's do it all again next week and catch you every day in between. Bye-bye.